I have a story to tell about today's symbol. I don't know if it's a story for children, my grandchildren, or for adults, but not knowing which it's for, I think of a little rhyme jingle that used to be said that I memorized. I come before you to stand behind you, to tell you of something I know nothing about. Today there will be a children's story hour for teachers only. Admission is free. Pay at the door, pull out a chair, and sit on the floor. I now present to you my story. Today's degree is Virgo 21, a girls' basketball team. I'll read it to you. You might want to close your eyes and listen. This is a symbol of the integrated divisions of labor by which any higher reality is manifest in everyday terms, and of the opportunity which the wide variations of modern life have provided for individual specialization and personal refinement. The self cannot exist in a vacuum, and there is no satisfaction in any effort expended for ends in which others are not vitally concerned. Man's fulfillment is primarily a continued participation in common goals with rewards to which his fellows contribute as consistently as himself. The key word is expression. When positive, the degree is effective self-consummation through exceptional cooperation and adaptability, and when negative, listless conformity. You know, I'm very familiar with the Sabian symbols, and this is one with which I didn't have much of a relationship before because a girls' basketball team, well, I really never participated in sports growing up, and I've always seen that as a negative. But today I've had a different kind of experience with this symbol, and I want to tell you, that's the story I want to tell you. First of all, a girls' basketball team, or any basketball team, there are 9 players. Well, we work here with the Enneagram 9. So that was interesting in and of itself. But anyway, today, a girls' basketball team, keyword expression. Now, why didn't I play sports as a child? Because of my mother. This is my mother. My mother has passed now. But this was my mother, Virginia Lee Shaw, maiden name, and then Farrell. And then I came across this poem, The Wondrous Power of a Mother. And what do you do with mother love when the babies are grown and gone away? Well, another child of a new generation is born and the whole process starts over again. The caring, the loving, the nurturing, the greatest miracle of all, the assurance that life will never end. There will always be mothers, and they will always be endowed with a love that is unlike any love on the face of the earth. Unlike any love that is on the face of the earth. My mother was very special for me because she awakened in me those things I needed awakened in order to become who I am now. And basketball teams just weren't part of that. Let me tell you a little bit about the story of me. First of all, a glimpse ahead. A couple of days ago, I was refurbishing these cards that come through the mail on cardstock, and I was cutting them. I used them at the stove to lay my spoon on when I'm cooking, but when I got to this one, I couldn't cut it. It reminded me too much of me. That's how I see myself as a little girl. I also saw this one, and it made me very happy because I'm all about everybody's birthday. It's why I do astrology. It's why I do symbology. What's special about each and every one of us all the way around the mandala. So that's a peek ahead, but let's come back to me telling you a little bit about me. A picture story. I was born, these things are going to make it shiny, in Hocking Hills County in Logan, Ohio. State of Ohio, and there's where Logan is, and that's where I was born. Okay, so that's my first picture to show you. That's cute. So when I was a little girl, I used to love to color, and I would I was usually at my grandmother's house. She was babysitting us children because my mom was a single parent and she had to commute to and from work in the next city up. And so we would watch TV in the evenings, waiting for Mother to come, and I would draw pictures. So you recognize that. Little Red Riding Hood. Here's another one. The Three Bears. And then Grandma wrote on this one for me. I love this. It was so sweet of you. And that was the Three Little Pigs. I love this one. I'm not sure if it was the Ugly Duckling or I just liked drawing ducks because I did a pretty darn good job of it, don't you think? For a little kid. And then there's this one. Now we get to kindergarten. How do I know? Because up here it says, Becky, you were a good listener, Mrs. Gaffin. So okay, that's why I didn't recognize this story. It wasn't one from my home. It was one that my teacher read me in kindergarten. So this one must have been, the animal had a patch on its eye, and this one must have been striped, and there must have been eggs involved. So I guess I was a good listener. Oh, there's some cutout coloring stuff I did. Okay, why do I show you all these? Well, I want you to follow my childhood. You don't see any sports in there yet, do you? You see coloring and drawing. You see a teacher complimenting me on listening. You hear my grandmother telling me that it was sweet of me to do that. So there was my rewards as a child. And then I went to East Elementary School, where I was in first grade and second grade and third grade, and then we moved. So that's interesting. I don't know if in this little booklet here there's a listing of, okay, that's the chorus. The King's Court. There I am. Okay, in the King's Court, given by the first graders, Queen Becky Baker. That's me. So I got to do a little bit of drama, right? Hold on just a second. As a very young girl, first grade, and I got to be the queen. There are actually pictures of that somewhere, but I'm not going to go and look for that. Okay, so now another thing that was important to me was that we celebrated the holidays and made a big deal out of them. All of you did. All of you do. But this is part of the culture, right? This is part of being on this planet. We have holidays. And so I made cards, and I love to make hand cards. Again, I'm still drawing, but also participating in church services. This is a program from the Nazarene Church where I went. So spiritual input. Here we are at Valentine's Day. Cutting, not too bad at cutting. Doing pretty good there. Coloring pictures still. Handmade Valentines. Do you remember these? The doilies. Remember when we used to do this? This was part of my life too. And then Happy Easter. Coloring and crafting. Coloring and crafting. Okay, so you see how my life is developing. You still don't see any sports, do you? Now, grade 3, 1966, and there I am. Not the cutest kid on the block by any means. Kind of a dorky age. But that was me, Becky Baker. Grandma wrote in there, my granddaughter. Lots of love. Here we are, another thing that really influenced my life. I don't know what grade I'm in now. Oh, third grade. 23 third grade pupils of Mrs. Marlene Clark. Okay, here I am, right here on the end. There's a man from the newspaper company that's come to talk to our class. Look at me. I'm leaning sideways so I can look around, and I'm still listening really, really good. And I wrote, here's one of the first things I wrote, right? Let's see what I wrote. Let's see what I had to say about that. Okay, there's the newspaper clipping. Back in the day of newspapers. Our trip to the newspaper. We saw many machines. There were many people, too. The name of it was the Daily News. We walked there. Mr. Myers led us around. He gave us all a a mat and tape. Mr. Myers was nice to us. The people that wrote the story were reporters. When it was time to go, we said thank you and goodbye. Becky Baker. Okay, that's pretty amazing. Again, a very formative memory in my life. No sports yet, but we've gone from art to including language now, writing. Oh, and I must add that that when I was back in kindergarten, and this one where she said, "You're a very good listener," she also wrote a note to my mother one day. I had written or had spoken my first poem, struggling in the cloakroom, because this is Ohio, very cold, snowy winters, and you would put galoshes on, boots on over your shoes, rubber boots. And I was struggling, and I was muttering, and Mrs. Gaffin came in, and she asked me what I was saying, and I recited my first poem to her. Boots, boots, boots of mine. I wish they were bigger, bigger than mine. So she wrote that down, and she sent that home to my mother, and she said, I think Becky may be a poet. So you see how the language and arts are developing in me, but not the sports. Well, another thing that happened in grade school was we began doing lessons about our country. I have a great patriotic spirit, and I can see now that it's not, you don't have to look very far to see where this all began. Grandma used to help us go out to her garden on Memorial Day and cut fresh flowers and take wrap them in aluminum foil, and we would march in a parade and go to the cemetery and lay them on the gravestone or at the grave of a fallen soldier of our choice. We could wander through the graveyard, and fireworks, and so patriotism was a big part of my upbringing. Now here you can see that in 65, I was born in 75, so I'm 10. So what's that, fourth grade, fourth grade? That we had another program, a program at school. And let me look in this one and see what we've got going on here. Second graders, well, I wasn't in second grade. First graders, I wasn't in first grade. Let's see here. Third graders, no. Well, I should have been in third because there's, fourth graders, there's my sister, Debbie Baker. So I would have been in second grade. Let's see, where's the second graders? I had to have been in second grade because Debbie and I were 2 years apart. I don't know why they have this all out of order. That's interesting. Hold on just a second. Where's the second graders? Oh, they're not listed. First grade, third grade, fourth grade, sixth grade, chorus. Oh, isn't that interesting? Am I missing a page? Isn't that interesting? Oh, second grade. But I'm not listed on here. Oh, here, look. Indian flute song. Becky Baker and Jody Ellis. Oh, so I was in second grade, and that's right up front. Now, I'll tell you what. You see here, the entire cast sang 50 Nifty United States. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. I still remember. That was second grade. I'm 63 years old. So this was a very formative part of my life. A different part. We have art, coloring, good listening, poetry reciting, creating my own poetry, newspaper, printing, writing stories, all of these wonderful things, and now introduced is patriotism. Very formational in my life. Well, it ends up that I moved away. We moved to Hawaii. This was from my best friend in 1968, Karen Atwell. This is Karen. Oh no, this is Lois. I had two best friends, Karen in Ohio, where I left, Chicago, where I stayed with my parents long enough for them to earn the money to fly our family to Hawaii. And this is Lois McPhail, my friend. So I'm leaving now. I'm learning about moving and leaving one place and going to another. Okay, these are the things my mother taught me. When I got to Hawaii, I have a teacher I so very appreciate, and unfortunately I don't remember her name. But this teacher had us do an assignment, and it was what we call now vision boards. I'm not sure what we called it then. But I want you to look at this, and then I want you to listen as I tell you about a tarot card this morning. When I went to fill in my tarot cards this morning, I'm sorry that light is like that. Anyway, when I went to fill in my tarot cards this morning, I noticed that I had left one blank a few days back. That's not like me. I usually fill them in straight across. You know, the overseer, the bridge, and the day card. But there was the 4 of diamonds at the 4th level not filled in. So, of course, before I did today's reading, I went back to see what I'd left out. And what I had left out was, excuse me, the key word is refreshment. Refresh your aspiration. The one that you had when you first stepped foot upon this path. Look through your mind's eye and view your own private mountain. What peak were you looking at through the open window? It offers you now a new view of your own first seeking. Move again in this direction that Spirit calls. This vision board came immediately to mind. There I was, looking through the open window. Do you see it? There I was, looking through the open window. Excuse my cold. I'm so sorry. This was all about me. Let me read to you what I said. First of all, and most important of all, I am a thinker and philosopher. What's at the center of that picture? Okay. Do you see what I'm telling you? I saw it from a very young age. I'm a teenager when I'm doing this. I'm not a little boy. And yet he gets center spot. I'm a 63-year-old lady now, and yet I still relate to that. But anyway, this is a complete vision of, I got to do it. I got to be a flight attendant in this life, okay? I'm still very pensive about things. I'm a Pisces. I'm immersed in water. I played viola. I was in many orchestras, held first seat viola. Gatsby fashion, still. I find out my moon is a Topsy, Saucily asserting herself. The closest you get to sports in this vision of myself is this. Stretching. Maybe yoga. I'm dabbling with yoga now. Cleanliness of body, cleanliness of mind. Sports car, I've owned a Mazda Miata, and I have a Genesis right now. This is my life as I saw it as a teenager, and I've made these things happen. But it's telling me, refresh your view. Refresh your view. And do you notice, I notice up here, we've got some sacred geometry going on up there. So I'm just telling you, our mothers awaken in us exactly what needs to be awakened. And yes, a girls' basketball team. But it doesn't literally mean a basketball team necessarily. The key word is expression, so that we can express our true selves as we were born on our birthdays, so that we don't miss the full expression of ourselves as we see ourselves. We need to be awakened to that. So we choose the perfect mothers to do that. We're at the end of third quarter moon, and it's about foundation. Okay. Foundation, an ancient manuscript. Graven not so much on stone as in the hearts of men. Now, that was the story pretty much of my life, right? I've told you all that. This is me today. Oh, there's our poem. Thank you, Mother. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping me to become who I am. So we read the symbol. We're in the third decan of Virgo now. This is my dream journal. I have a dream to enter in. Behind the dream journal are things that will assist me to follow that dream to its fruition, what it's trying to tell me. The answer to Job, Carl Jung, psychology, this contemplativeness that I am as the philosopher, it's with me still today. This is an abstract of all the things that have come to mind today. And out fell this paper. I'm still drawing. I'm still me, exactly as I came here to be. The wondrous power of a mother. Namaste, this is Sejin.